Doritos. You love them, but how well do you really know them? Hi, I'm Meghan with the Leaderboard, and we're here to check out the snack that has everybody wiping their fingers off on their shirts and getting crumbs in their couch cushions. Doritos are a staple among gamers, so we knew it was time for us to give the classic chip its own 107 facts. So grab a bag, cause this is 107 facts about Doritos. There are tons of rumors surrounding the invention of America's beloved snack. Legend has it that the recipe for Doritos was stolen from a roadside stand in Anaheim, California, just outside of Disneyland. But some say Doritos were created at Disneyland, at the Frito-owned restaurant there called Casa de Fritos. The rumor is that Doritos were originally thought up by a local tortilla smith and salesman for Alex Foods, who had sold the Casa de Fritos stale tortillas and was trying to save his skin. He suggested that the cooks there fry them up and serve them as chips instead. A little grease and heat and bam, totally snackable. Another theory is that there was an excess of tortillas at Casa de Fritos that were going stale. Someone said fry them and the Dorito was born. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter how the Dorito was created because soon chips became wildly popular with the Casa de Fritos customers, but the Frito Corporation had no idea they existed. When Arch West, a marketing executive at Frito, which would later become Frito-Lay, came to visit the Casa de Fritos, he was so impressed with the snacks that he contracted Alex Foods to produce Doritos for mass consumption. However, eventually Frito realized that they could make Doritos their own and chucked Alex Foods out like a stale tortilla. But that didn't stop the Alex Foods company from creating their own line of, well, much less successful tortilla chips. Arch West became widely known as the creator of Doritos, at least of Doritos as we know them today. He was so widely recognized as the Dorito guy that when he died in 2011, he was buried with a layer of the iconic chips sprinkled on his coffin. And according to West himself, in an interview with Maxim, the name came from a trip to Mexico after trying to register Frito as a trademark. He found out that it simply means fried, and the name was too generic. He asked a local what color he thought Fritos were, and he replied oro, meaning gold in Spanish. He added ito to sound like Frito, and put a D in front of it. Doritos Australia tells a slightly different story. The name Doritos comes from the Spanish translation of little golden things, or Doraditos. The first Dorito flavor was corn tortilla chip. While the visitors at Disneyland liked Doritos, they found the original flavor to be too similar to Fritos chips. In 1968, they added taco seasoning, thus creating the first official Dorito flavor. Since then, there have been over 100 different flavors of Doritos. Most people credit nacho cheese as being the most Dorito-y Dorito flavor, but the iconic flavor didn't release until 1974, and it's objectively not as good as Cool Ranch. At least that's the Leaderboard's official stance. Speaking of the best Dorito flavor, Cool Ranch has gone through quite a few different iterations since first hitting shelves in 1986. There was a limited edition Rainbow Doritos flavor when Frito-Lay partnered with the nonprofit It Gets Better. The flavor wasn't anything new, just Cool Ranch, but the chips Roy G bivved it up with colors like red, orange, green, blue, and purple. Cool Ranch chips go by a few other names overseas. Most countries call them Cool American. However, in the UK, they're called Cool Original. Regardless of the location, they're always cool. Frito-Lay released the infamous Cooler Ranch flavor in 1994, which just turned out to be a new way of packaging regular Cool Ranch chips. Jezebel's food blog, Kitchenette, referred to the incident in terror as the Cooler Ranching. Not surprising, considering the article is called Doritos' Long, Slow Descent into Madness. There were also Cooler Ranch Rolitos, which are essentially just Cooler Ranch chips that were rolled into little sticks. These Rolitos also came in nacho cheesier, zesty taco, and queso picante, and were advertised as an even easier way to eat your favorite chips. Doritos periodically rotates their flavor roster in the US. Right now, in New York City, where the Leaderboard is based, you can easily find the following flavors in stores: nacho cheese, Cool Ranch, poppin' jalapeno, sweet and spicy chili, spicy nacho, and Doritos Blaze. Doritos Blaze is one of the newest flavors of Dorito, and it lives up to the blaze. This chip is very very hot. It seems to have been replaced with another flavor, salsa verde, which of course is a travesty that should be mourned by many. But flavor rotation needs to happen. The change is a key part of the Doritos business model. Sure, some flavors change their name overseas, but there are also certain flavors only available regionally, like the Japanese flavors. The Japanese flavors of Doritos include crazy stuff like soy sauce and butter, seaweed, and tuna mayonnaise. They even have seasonal Doritos, like a special Christmas Dorito in Japan that were green, shaped like Christmas trees, and of course, tasted like corn soup, because nothing says Christmas like soup flavored tree chips. Japan wasn't the only country with Christmas Doritos. Taiwan released their own Christmas tree-shaped Doritos, but these were roasted turkey flavored. At least that's a bit more seasonal. There's a whole selection of pizza-related Doritos that were released in Italy. They were called Doritos Pizza and featured elevated flavors like fresh basil and Italian ham. Frito-Lay has also released pizza-themed Doritos stateside too. In the early 90s, the company partnered with Pizza Hut to create Doritos Pizza Cravers. Through that same partnership, the company later released Taco Bell seasoned Doritos called Taco Supreme Doritos. Little did Frito-Lay know that their involvement with Taco Bell was just beginning. The Dorito flavor train doesn't stop there. Mexico has exclusive flavors like Diablo, Incognita, and Pizza Rolas. One of the Mexican flavors takes its form from the Rolitos, or more controversially from another very popular snack with a similar taste, Takis. Doritos Dinamita are rolled up Doritos with two very spicy flavors, Chile Limon and Nacho Picoso. In a serious eats taste test, it was determined that the greatest difference between Takis and Dinamita was their texture. The Doritos were unfortunately more shatter prone. In 1995, a very limited run of something called Chester's Cheese Doritos was released, which was, as I'm sure you guessed, a mashup between Cheetos and Doritos. They were extra cheesy, and people seemed to like them, but somehow they ended up in the Dorito graveyard shortly after their debut. However, some people expressed confusion about the cross-branding. In the November 7th edition of the Deseret News, one man, Bill Allred, is quoted as having the following opinion about the Cheetos-Doritos collab. I guess my only real objection to the product is the name. Just who is this Chester Cheese guy? Is he really that famous? And what does a cheetah have to do with cheese or tortilla chips for that matter? Oh well, Chester Cheetah can inspire all. The late 90s saw the release of Smoky Red Barbecue Doritos, which also marked the beginning of the Dorito Girl's tenure as the resident commercial star for the brand. Don't worry, we'll come back to her in a bit. Sometimes, Doritos flavors do so well overseas and abroad that the company brings them back to the States for release here. This was the case for the roulette flavor of Doritos, which after finding success in the Canadian, South African, and Venezuelan markets, came to American grocery stores everywhere. True to its name, the roulette flavor was made up of mostly harmless cheese-flavored chips, with a handful of extremely spicy chips thrown in. It was a gamble every time you ate one. To give you an idea of the heat factor of these spicy chips, they were coated in a flavoring that ranked 78,000 on the Scoville heat scale. A Scotch bonnet pepper, one of the hottest in the world, comes in at about 90K. The roulette spicy chips were actually so hot that one school in England banned the flavor after a student had such a strong reaction to the chip that she had to be rushed to the hospital. Turkey has some unthinkable flavors as well. If you're on a trip there, check the aisles for yogurt mint Doritos and mint Doritos. When you arrive in Belgium, open your taste buds to pure paprika Doritos. Despite their longevity in the US, not every country has always had access to Doritos. New Zealand just got their first Doritos in 2010. Doritos is always trying out brand new ideas. In 2007, a new flavor initiative in the US called Doritos Collisions took two new flavors and threw them together in the same bag. Some of the original collisions were crazy combos like hot wings and blue cheese, zesty taco and chipotle ranch, habanero and guacamole, cheesy enchilada and sour cream, and even pizza cravers and ranch. While the chips were popular, Doritos eventually discontinued the experimental Collisions brand. In addition to Collisions, 2007 featured the introduction of a mystery flavor named Doritos X13D Flavor Experiment. The X13D flavor came in a plain black bag with a small flavor note All-American Classic on the front and directions to visit a series of websites for more information. When you visited the sites, eventually you would wind up at an interface called the Clue Generator, which challenged you to play a quick shape matching game and would reward players with pictorial clues, like a picture of a circular grill. When the flavor was finally revealed, it was cheeseburger. Some people really disliked the flavor, but others loved it. Naturally, Doritos then released an official cheeseburger flavor titled Late Night all-nighter cheeseburger. Arch West, that guy who was buried in a grave of Doritos, is reported to have spit out the cheeseburger-flavored chip when he tried it. The late-night line of chips included a few other flavors inspired by late-night bar snack menus. Frito-Lay also released late-night tacos at midnight Doritos and late-night last call jalapeno popper Doritos. The mystery flavor experiment went over so well that the next year, Doritos decided to release another mystery flavor called The Quest, where participants had to solve puzzles and gather clues to determine the identity of the new flavor. This mystery flavor contest came with a $100,000 prize, a trip to a secret city, it ended up being Vegas, and a 24K golden Dorito, perfect for weddings and quinceañeras. When Doritos unveiled the Quest flavor, it was Mountain Dew. A lot of taste testers objected to its sickly sweetness, but who knows, maybe some big old Dew heads out there were really into it. The Quest Mountain Dew Doritos were also used as a tie-in product for Mountain Dew's three new and equally strange Dewmocracy flavors: Mountain Dew Supernova, which was grape, Mountain Dew Revolution, which was cotton candy, and Mountain Dew Voltage, which was raspberry. In 2014, Doritos kind of managed to skirt the formal product testing process by releasing, for purchase, 3 test flavors that came in shiny silver aluminum bags. These test flavors were called Doritos Jacked. These were released as test flavor 2653, test flavor 855, and test flavor 404. Dorito not found. Just kidding about the last one. The flavor that received the most votes would be released as a regular Dorito flavor. Hooray! The flavors, respectively, were chocolate chipotle bacon, that's a lot going on in one chip, spicy street taco, the eventual winner, and the god-awful Caribbean citrus jerk, which people complained tasted like actual floor cleaner. I feel like we're forgetting something big, something 3D. Oh, right, Doritos 3D, official food of the 90s. Some know Doritos 3D as the ruiner of dryers everywhere. I'm of course referring to the iconic laundromat commercial featuring Dorito Girl, played by Allie Landry, Sean Hayes of Will and Grace fame, and random other guy, wherein Allie dumps a whole bag of Doritos 3D into a dryer and then proceeds to catch them in her mouth using a variety of tricks. I Chihuahua, Sean Hayes says at the end, convincing nobody. Doritos 3D was originally envisioned by the company as a way to be more competitive with Bugles. This iteration of Doritos was puffed out and filled with air, making each chip more like a little triangular balloon than like a tortilla chip. To go with the name, the chip came in 3 flavors: jalapeno cheddar, nacho cheese, and zesty ranch. They also came in a mini version and were sold in plastic cylinders with a pop top, like Pringles. 3D Doritos had stopped being available by the early 2000s, but they were kind of re-released as Doritos Jacked 3D in 2015. The difference between the original Doritos 3D and the Doritos Jacked 3D chips is that the latter are more of a thick and raised kind of patterny chip that resembles triangle-shaped Funyuns. It wasn't exactly a faithful re-release, and people are still flipping bowls of chips over it. But over the years, it hasn't just been the flavors of the chips that have changed, and Doritos 3D wasn't the first time that Frito-Lay had revamped the look of the chip itself. In 1994, the company spent a record-breaking $50 million in what the New York Times called the costliest redesign in Frito-Lay's history to revamp the look and texture of Doritos. The redesign boasted that the chips would be 20% larger, 15% thinner, and stronger tasting. In the transformation, Frito-Lay cut the sharp corners off of the chips, giving us the rounded edges we know and love today. As an ironic side effect of Frito-Lay's research into developing a stronger flavor, they also ended up drastically diminishing the noxious Dorito breath that lingered for hours after eating the snack. As you can see, Doritos as a brand is devoted to innovating with their product, so let's get down to the brass tacks here. What exactly is a Dorito made from? When you look on the Doritos website, the only information available about the product is that Frito-Lay harvests whole corn kernels before cleaning and grating them so that only the best go on to become Doritos. However, this statement is accompanied by this very unsettling drawing of a humanoid Dorito farmer, so... According to Business Insider, Doritos are one of the most financially successful snack foods ever. Apparently, they gross about $1.5 billion annually, every year. Clearly, we are addicted. But there are logical reasons for our addiction. Food scientist Stephen Witherly breaks it down in his book, Why Humans Like Junk Food. There are 9 primary reasons Doritos are the perfect snack food. Number 1, the powder on Doritos is loaded with salt, sugar, and flavor boosters, all of which trigger your brain's pleasure centers. Number 2, the powder also contains acids that make your mouth water, literally. They trigger the release of saliva, so yeah, Doritos are scientifically drool-worthy. Number 3, Doritos are a great way for you to experience vanishing caloric density. Essentially, that means that when you bite into a Dorito, your brain is into the crunch, but also into the way that Doritos crumble. The more you eat, the more the food seems to disappear in your mouth, leaving you wanting more. Number 4, apparently your brain is into food that has a good ratio of fat. Doritos have a perfect 50-50 ratio, which is a pretty alarming fact actually, but your brain is real into it. Number 5, humans have evolved to prefer food that tastes cooked. We're spoiled that way. So the fact that these are chips that have been fried in oil and taste like they've been fried in oil hits all the right spots. Number 6, cheese. Dude, your brain on cheese is pretty much the same as your brain on drugs. Cheese releases casomorphin when digested, a compound that slows digestion, stimulates fat intake, and may even have a narcotic effect. That's why we're hooked on Doritos' cheesy goodness. Number 7, their bold flavors of cheese, garlic, and onion literally fill the room with a delicious aroma whenever you open a bag of Doritos, enticing your brain and triggering your saliva glands. And it doesn't just affect you. Anybody else in your vicinity is subject to the overwhelming power of the Doritos smell. Number 8, plus the flavor profiles of Doritos are so complex, as we've seen, that it actually keeps your brain from getting bored of eating. Number 9, not only are the chips potent snack food, but the dust itself is key. Apparently, because the powder that gets on your fingers is 5 to 6 times as concentrated as that on the chip, your brain gets another powerful pleasure explosion whenever you lick your fingers. Okay, I think that's enough graphic food science for now. Apparently, Frito-Lay even thought about selling the dust on its own in 2002, which would have been awesome, let's be real, but they scrapped the idea, probably because their production plants are working overtime as is. Don't worry though, there are ways. Epicurious has recipes for the dust on its site that you can brew up at home. The flagship Frito-Lay plant is in Irving, Texas, probably because a production plant that's making Doritos needs to be about as big as Texas. At the flagship plant, one production line alone can make up to 2,650 pounds of Doritos an hour. That's 50 tons of Doritos daily. After getting cut into triangles, Doritos are shot down a conveyor belt and into a giant seasoning drum that's about the size of a VW bug, where they're pelted with oil and seasoning and tossed to achieve maximum coverage. While often effective, this process was actually a huge obstacle when developing the taco shells for Taco Bell's first ever Doritos Locos Tacos. There was no way to ensure full coverage of the shell without breaking its back. The developers behind the project initially had tried using a paint spray gun from Home Depot to season the tacos, but that ended up leaving the taco shell unevenly seasoned. They needed something like the seasoning drum that Doritos went through, but gentler. The first change the engineers behind the DLT's taco shells made was to substitute the kind of corn masa used in Taco Bell shells for the sturdier corn masa used in Doritos chips. This change solved the test group's initial disappointment that the taco shells didn't have the same satisfactory crunch that the chips did, but the shells were still breaking in the seasoner. In fact, the whole process of developing a taco shell that would work almost caused the Doritos Locos Taco idea to go in the trash. That, and the fact that the initial test group thought that the prototype Doritos Locos Tacos tasted terrible. The two flavors were clashing and nobody liked it. Eventually though, the R&D team developed a kind of nacho cheese chamber that ended up doing the trick. Full seasoning, non-crunch taco shell. It was perfection. The result was a delicious Doritos Loco Taco that was successful and loved by the masses. At its peak, Taco Bell was selling about 1 million Doritos Locos Tacos a day. That's a lot of Taco Bell. Clearly everybody loves Doritos, but why? Of course we've covered the science behind the snack, but a big part of the chip's success has been in advertising. I mean, Doritos and TV seem to go hand in hand, and in fact, more Doritos are consumed during prime time, between the hours of 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Central Time, than at any other time of the day. So it's a match made in heaven, right? Allie Landry, the Doritos girl, credits the chip for launching her TV and movie career. She said in a 2002 interview with USA Today, "It's the best thing that ever happened in my career, and that includes becoming Miss USA." The feeling was mutual. Allie's run as the Doritos girl helped the snack become a Super Bowl staple. In 2006, they launched their Crash the Super Bowl ad contest, encouraging Doritos fans to film their own Super Bowl commercials. The best one would be aired. The contest ran for 10 years, ending in 2016, with some serious fan favorites taking home the title of Best Ad, including Live the Flavor and Free Doritos. One of the most iconic Doritos commercials in recent memory is probably Ultrasound, which features a man eating Doritos at his wife's ultrasound. When she throws the Dorito away, the baby comes out because it wants the Dorito so bad. And who doesn't? The Dorito girl isn't the only star with the Doritos ad background. In 1990, Jay Leno starred in an ad for Doritos Jumpin' Jack flavor. Of course, he would later go on to host The Tonight Show. Doritos even sent a commercial into space. In 2008, Doritos used a transmitter in the Arctic Circle to send one of its ads 42 light years away to a solar system in Ursa Major. As of yet, there has been no response that we know of. But if our alien overlords arrive, we'll know that Doritos' cheesy goodness is to blame. Doritos doesn't always make sound decisions when regarding its product, however. Earlier this year, Doritos caused huge controversy when the CEO of Frito-Lay announced that the company would be making Lady Doritos, specifically designed to crunch less and limit the amount of orange residue that sticks to their fingers. Women and feminists everywhere were pissed, and rightly so. It is doubtful that many women who already enjoy Doritos will purchase the specially engineered Lady Doritos. Take Jennifer Lawrence, for instance, who allegedly ruined several of her expensive designer costumes in American Hustle by getting Dorito finger smears on them. Let's be real, licking off the orange dust from your fingers is the best part and loved by people of all genders. Speaking of, we've gotta go wipe the dust off ours. I'm Meghan with the Leaderboard, and thanks for watching 107 Facts About Doritos. What crazy flavor would you like to try? Any flavors you're dying to bring back? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to hit the bell icon to become part of the notification squad, and subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.